All right, what's up, guys? So, in this video, what we're going to be doing is discussing some of the key lessons that I've learned from running a multiple six-figure marketing agency and reducing churn. Now, churn is the single most important thing when scaling because if you don't fix your churn issue, as you continue to grow, your problems are only going to grow with you. And essentially, what you're going to be doing is filling a bucket of water, but there's going to be multiple holes at the bottom of that bucket. So you're basically going to be going nowhere. And you're going to be signing clients, churning clients, signing clients, churning clients. And it's not a fun position to be in. And so throughout the 13 months of being in the game, I've again scaled to multiple six figures a month or a year, excuse me, not a month, a year with my agency. And here are just some of the key lessons that I've learned along the way. And hopefully you guys can take just one thing of value and apply it into your own agency. I always preach that just take one thing from what I'm teaching and just apply it and see how it goes. Okay. So let's get into it. So lessons from the past 13 months. Now, the most obvious is product is king. Again, your product is king. I remember vaguely Elon Musk talking about how the best product or the best service in the world or the best company in the world, they don't even need a logo. Like it's just everyone knows. And so think about how simple Tesla's logo is. Think about how simple Apple's logo is. The best companies in the world, they don't even need a logo because people just know them. And that is the extreme. But when building an agency, you want to get as close to that extreme as possible. And so product is king. Now, one of the ways you can go about fixing your product is dedicating at bare minimum 2 to 3 hours in the evening on your product. And it's true. If you have the best product in the world, you will not lose a single client unless they're just a complete idiot, which can be the case. But that's why when targeting in B2B ads or acquisition, we need to create our avatar and then create targeting around that avatar. What does that person look like? How tall are they? What do they eat? What type of company are they running? What type of company culture are they building? How much money are they making? As specific as possible when creating that avatar. And so product is king, right? So in the beginning of my journey, I churned several clients because I had no idea what I was doing. And one of the ways I went about getting a better service delivery was trial and error, investing into mentorships, investing into paid groups where they taught media buying. And also don't think too for a second that you have to pause acquisition because you want to fix your product. Now, for example, that is a lie that you'll tell yourself that, hey, I need to pause my acquisition because I need to focus on my product. That's a complete lie. At bare minimum, you can sign 3, 4, 5 new clients a month. And so you need to hire a media buyer. You need to hire someone that is going to be better at you at this. And that's essentially the goal. Like, for example, I have a media buyer on my team, and I told him from day one, I'm like, hey, listen, I want you to be better than me in 2, 3 months' time because I need to focus on other things. And I'm going to train you and I want to learn from you as much as you're going to learn from me. And so you need to fix your products. And going back to the pausing acquisition aspect, do not do that because it's a disservice to your clients because you need more ad spend to test new things. And then you need to find winners, and winners are proven cross markets with a minimum spend on it. So, like, for example, the way I declare a winner, whether it be a video or an image, is across 3 different markets or states or cities or whatever it so be, with at bare minimum 500 in spend under KPI. So my KPI is sub $25 in the roofing niche for a qualified lead. That's what we're looking for. And so if I have a sub 25 CPL across 3 different markets with more than $500 in spend towards it, that's a winner. Okay. And then what's really cool is that you can take those and then multiply it across accounts. And then, of course, just tailor it to that specific client themselves. And so this is why when signing new clients, you really want to systematize and productize your fulfillments. It's like a car company, like what we were talking about earlier, right? Like people at Tesla, they're not making Teslas by hands. Everything is manufactured and in a machine and just so clean, so systematized. They know exactly what's going to happen when they sign a new client or when they start building a new car. Same thing with you guys, right? So you can have multiple drives of winning creatives, and those winning creatives will come from testing more. And so do not think for a second you have to pause acquisition. It is a disservice to yourself, to your clients to do so. And that is why you need to build the best product in the market because it will speak for itself. Referrals will take off and your company will afford you the dream life you've once wanted. Two, set expectations hard throughout the entire relationship and reinforce them. Now, this is extremely important because problems arise when expectations aren't met. Meaning, here's an example. If I tell clients, yeah, we're going to get them 10 qualified appointments in the first 72 hours of launching ads, and that doesn't happen, then they're going to say, hey, Jimmy, what the fuck is going on? You promised me this, and this is what happens. And so that is the problem arising because the expectation was misaligned. And think about problems in your own life, relationships, job wise, whatever it so be. That's exactly where problems come from because your expectations are set differently. And so whether you sign a 1 month client or a 3 month client, I prefer 3 month clients because their minds are thinking longer term. If you have a shorter client on a 1 month plan, they're thinking, hey, I need to close jobs within the first month. But with meta ads, obviously it takes time to perform well. We have the pixel data and tracking. And so that's why on the onboarding call or kickoff call, either one of those two is fine. You want to set expectations super hard and tell them, hey, this is a 90-day program. Now, we typically see results within the first 7 to 10 days. The first week is us throwing everything at the wall, seeing what sticks, seeing what doesn't stick. And so we don't want you to think after 2-3 days, if we don't get any appointments, that the system doesn't work. It does. We just need some time. Is that okay? And then just like that, and then you continue to reinforce that on the check-in calls. And I'm going to cover some of the check-in calls and kind of how I do things at my agency a little bit later on. But we reinforce this on the check-in calls. We continue to set other expectations hard throughout the relationship because, again, problems arise when expectations aren't met. And so 3, the longer a client stays, the less likely they are of churning. Now, this is really cool because time is to our advantage. Meaning, if a client comes in my experience, the clients that have churns were typically sub 2 weeks because they were just typically sub 2 weeks. They tended to have a really scarcity mindset, and they were like, "Oh, we closed one job, we broke even, we have to pull out." Like it's the most ridiculous things in the world. So besides that, use time to your advantage. Meaning, if a client stays more than 90 days, I believe their churn, the likelihood of them churning is pretty much cut by 2/3 if or half. And so that's why the first 1 to 2, even 3 months is the most important and most critical. Because another thing is that the client will say to themselves subconsciously, will I buy from this person again? At 2 points. The first is after you close them, and the second is after you close them until they get the thing, which in this case is qualified appointments. And so churn is, or excuse me, the time, using time to your advantage is beyond importance. And with knowing this, you have to hand hold your clients for the first few weeks, definitely, maybe the first 1 to 2 months. Now, of course, we want those clients who are just like, the Giga Chad clients who just need one text a month and they're chilling because the product is actually working. And I have a few of those, and they are the best clients in the world. We're getting them appointments, we're making them money, they're happy with us. And all they need is one call, not even a Google Meet, like one call a month maybe, and they're open to testimonials too as well, and they're the best clients. So those are the ones that we want to get and we want to serve in the highest degree possible. And so in addition to that, I think there's these 7 points are all really important, but using time is the most important thing because think about your life. Have you ever been in a long-term relationship? What's more difficult to do? Break up with a girlfriend of 1 month or 10 years? And when you think about it like that, it's the exact same thing with this because what we're doing at the end of the day is building long-term relationships with our clients. And that's exactly what we're doing. And we're growing with them. We're taking a percentage of their rev share, after a few months because we want the growth of both our companies to be exponential, not linear. And so I also vaguely or remember a video of Hermosi discussing churn and how we have to use time to our advantage. And so this is beyond importance. I've only ever had one client churn past 2 months of working together. We have a very sticky program, and they churned up to 6 months of working together. And that was hard. It was definitely a hard conversation, but it goes to show that most of my churns is more so earlier on. In the past 3 months, guys, I've only lost one client, and it was yeah, I've only ever lost one client in the last 3 months. More so in the beginning, most of the churns came within the first 2 months, but again, it's inevitable. You just have to use time to your advantage. And so, point four, when going live, be in contact via Slack or whatever communication channel you use every day for the first 7 days. Clients want to know that there's someone there for them. If you close the deal and then you ghost them for a couple of days, they are thinking to themselves, is this a scam? What just happened? Why is this person not reaching out? And the relationship is ruined. It is. It's completely done. And you're fucked because you need to handhold them again throughout the first 2 to 3 months. So once we close the deal on a sales call, I'll typically say something like, "Hey, we're going to set everything up for you. Two more calls following this, but after our onboarding call tomorrow, there's going to be a 4 to 5 day window in which we'll have our second call. And in the meantime, we're going to update you with what's happening. We're not going to go ghost. We're just building everything out for you because it takes 5 to 7 days up until we get you up and running. Okay." And then again, set that expectation from the sales call, even. That's exactly how I do it. And so I prefer Slack. If you guys aren't using a centralized communication channel for all of your clients, that's a problem. If you want to scale, then you're not going to be able to do that with SMS, with Gmail, with Slack, with WhatsApp. It's chaotic, it's confusing, and it's going to make you a distracted founder. And your time has to be spent on the highest leverage thing possible. So get this out of the way as quick as possible. And so use Slack. Okay. Or Basecamp is good as well. I know Basecamp is project management tool, and you could use that for your internal team or whatever you want. So, okay, cool. So essentially, again, holding the hand for the first 1 to 2 months. Point five, future pacing. Now, something that we always want to be doing with our clients is giving them something to look forward to. Something to look forward to. And what I mean by that is either a new video idea, a new image idea, a new content idea. And the clients that are performing the best with us, they are willing and super happy to make those personalized videos. And at scale, what we have seen is videos outperform images way more because, again, it builds that know, like, and trust factor, which is marketing 101. And by the time the prospect or our client gets to the prospect's house, it's almost as if they know each other. Think about the people that you look up to in your life. Now, I'm sure they have a huge social media following, and you pretty much feel like you know them. Now, that's true. And it's really crazy because, like, you feel like you know what they present to you, what you perceive as them. And I mean, that's a whole separate marketing topic on its own. But again, future pacing, right? So give them something to look forward to. And this is more so important on check-in calls when things aren't going well, because you always want to talk about, hey, here's exactly what happened. Here's exactly what we're going to be doing moving forward. And we know how to fix this problem. We're not new to this, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so you kind of always want to be future pacing your clients on check-in calls and for most things out of the relationship. Also, I just came across the founder of Bloom. The guy's an absolute genius, and I watched all of his YouTube videos. The guy's absolutely incredible. Besides the point. Okay, that's besides the point. So, lesson six. Lesson six is outline client success during onboarding. Tell them what your most successful clients do, and that if they don't do this, we can't guarantee success. Here's what our worst performing clients do, and here's what our best performing clients do. Now, if you have a CSM, you have to teach them this. If you don't, you have to do this yourself as founder until you hire a CSM. And so what I mean by this is that on the onboarding call, you share a presentation with them and go over 15-20 minutes of, hey, here's exactly what our best performing clients do. We took them from 2 million to 2.5 million in less than half a year. Here's another client that did exactly what we said, and we took them from 5 million to 7 million in 2 years. And so you need to outline success, because if you don't, then whatever problems occur throughout the relationship, they're going to think internally to themselves, hey, this is going to fall back on Marco and his company. But on this call, when you set expectations and you outline success, you say to them, "This is exactly what you need to do. You need to show up to your appointments looking professional with a clean cut. Don't come wearing a shitty truck or shitty clothes or whatever it so be. Our best performing clients have a completely dialed in sales system. Now, yes, we will be booking these appointments for you, but you have to do this when closing. You have to ask for the job. You have to do a one call close. And if they don't do this, then they're going to say to themselves when things aren't going well, like, oh shit, Marco told me to do this. And so on our check-in call, you can revert back to that onboarding call and tell them, like, hey, this is exactly what we told you to do. Are you doing this? And if they say no, that's leverage to tell them, hey, maybe this is why we aren't being successful. And again, well, not again, but this really is just to protect you as a founder and you as your company and your reputation. Reputation truly is everything at the end of the day, and you have to guard it and protect it with your life. And when you think about it like that, it starts with setting expectations and showing them the path to success on the onboarding call. And so that is a crucial piece of information that I was taught when I joined my recent mentorship. And it's true. Like when you think about clients that have churned in your own agency, they probably weren't doing things well. They probably were blaming the leads or saying they weren't of quality and just blaming external factors. And this is really a safety net for you to protect what you have in your company. And then lastly, the seventh point is being proactive versus reactive. Now, this is a massive piece of information and something that the front end or your CSM team should be doing and should have at always top of minds. Now, it is always, always, always better to be proactive than reactive. Now, in the morning as founder, if you aren't out of operations just yet, you will be waking up, putting fires out, responding to clients, and that's fine. That's inevitable. It's going to happen. But one of the ways you can go about being proactive would be if your media buyer sees that a campaign is underperforming, they tell you, "Hey, Marco, our campaign performance is underperforming," then we would reach out to the clients and before so that they don't reach out to us and then we are reacting to them. So we would tell them immediately after 2-3 days of a performance decrease that, hey, here's where we're at, here's what it was like, and here's exactly what had happened, and here's exactly what we're going to be doing moving forward. Now, my media buyer sends out weekly KPI reports, and this goes into point B of the seventh lesson, which is sending out KPI reports. Okay, so you have a template for your media buyer, and they'll send them, cost per lead, cost per appointment, and then they close any jobs, the CAC there. And we want to make it as simple as possible too, because we have to think about the sophistication of the market. And when you're dealing with contractors, they're typically less sophisticated. All they really need to know is cost per lead, cost per appointment, cost per qualified appointment, and that's it. And so we're not sending them like, yeah, your CTR is 2.5% and your CPM is $35. Like they don't give a shit about any of that. They might not even know what any of that means. And so we want to keep things as simple as possible. And as Steve Jobs said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And so with the entire relationship, with updating the clients, keep these reports as simple as possible. And if you don't have a media buyer, hire one. Your time is spent on lower leverage tasks than if you did have a media buyer so that you could focus on other things in the growth of the company itself. And then the last part is have those hard conversations. So you might have a client that's on the border of churning. You might have a client that is upset with your product or service. Call them up immediately. Hop on the call with them. The only way out is through. If you continue to avoid conversations, then those problems are only going to grow. And what you don't control controls you. And so success is determined by one's stress tolerance and one's degree of self-awareness. And so if you could handle the stress of hopping on a 10-minute Zoom call with a client, you're going to be fine. You're not going to die from a Zoom call because you had a hard conversation. Every single thing that you think is stressful or hard, it's all limitation that you self-impose, and it's all just made up. It is. And think about, like, now this is this is a bad example, but think about like psychopaths. Like, they don't have a consciousness. They don't feel. They don't have fear. Or think about Alex Honnold's, the the climber who free soloed El Capitan and does all this crazy shit. Like, he doesn't have that fear part of his brain, or whatever it so be that that activates fear in his brain. And so he will climb that mountain and not feel anything. It's scary, it's terrifying, but think about it like that, where it's like it's all self-imposed, it's all made up in your own minds. And so you're going to feel so much better at the end of having those conversations, where it's like, huh, that's what I was so afraid of, just having a 10-minute check-in call and everything's fine just because I spoke to them. That's it. Like, it's that simple, guys. It's that simple. And so these are the 7 lessons, and there's so many more, but these are just 7 of the lessons that I've learned from being in the game for 13 months and building multi 6-figure a year agency. The goal is to get to 7, so we're on pace for that. But if anyone has anything or any questions, just shoot me a DM on Instagram, and I'll see you guys in the next.